Good morning, Team Alabama. Please join me in reading in Hunger Games on page 82. I pretend to examine a blossom. We were hunting in the woods one day, hidden, waiting for game, I whisper. You and your father? He whispers back. No, my friend Gale. Suddenly, all the birds stopped singing at once, except one, as if it were given a warning call. And when we saw her, I'm sure it was the same girl. A boy was with her. Their clothes were tattered. They had dark circles under their eyes from no sleep. They were running as if their lives depended on it, I say. For a moment, I'm silent. As I remember how the sight of this strange pair, clearly not from District 12, fleeing through the woods, immobilized us. Later, we wondered if we could have helped them escape. Perhaps we might have concealed them if we'd moved quickly. Gale and I were taken by surprise. Yes, we're both hunters. We know how animals look at bay. We knew the pair was in trouble as soon as we saw them, but we only watched. The hovercraft appeared out of nowhere. I continued to PETA. One moment the sky was empty and the next it was there. It didn't make a sound, but they saw it. A net dropped down on the girl and carried her up, fast, so fast like the elevator. They shot some sort of spear through the boy. It was attached to a cable, and they hauled him up as well, but I am certain he was dead. We heard the girl scream once, the boy's name I think, and then it was gone. The hovercraft vanished into thin air, and the birds began to sing again as if nothing had happened. But did they see you? PETA asked. I don't know. We were under a shelf of rock. I replied, but I do know. There was a moment after the bird call, but before the hovercraft, where the girl had seen us. She'd locked eyes with me and called out for help, but neither Gale or I had responded. You're shivering, says PETA. The wind and the story have blown all the warmth from my body. The girl's scream, had it been for her last? PETA takes off his jacket and wraps it around my shoulders. I start to take a step back, but then I let him, deciding for a moment to accept both his jacket and his kindness. A friend would do that, right? They were from here, he asks, and he secures a button at my neck. I nod. They'd had that capital look about them, the boy and girl. Where do you suppose they were going? He asks. I don't know that, I say. District 12 is pretty much the end of the line. Beyond us, there's only wilderness. If you don't count the ruins of District 13 that still smolder from the toxic bombs. They show it on television occasionally just to remind us, or why they would leave us. Haymitch had called the Avox's traitors. Against what? It could only be the capital, but they had everything here, no cause to rebel. I'd leave here, PETA blurts out, and then he looks around nervously. It was loud enough to hear above the chimes. He laughs. I'd go home now if they let me, but you have to admit, the food's prime. He's covered again. If that's all you'd heard, it would just sound like the words of a scared tribute, not someone contemplating the unquestionable goodness of the capital. It's getting chilly. We'd better go in, he says, inside the dome. It's warm and bright. His tone is conversational. Your friend Gale, he's the one who took your sister away at the reaping? Yes. Do you know him, I asked. Not really. I hear the girls talk about him a lot. I thought that he was your cousin or something. You favor each other, he says. No, we're not related, I say. PETA nods, unreadable. Did he come to say goodbye to you? Yes, I say, observing him carefully. So did your father. He brought me cookies. PETA raises his eyebrows as if this is news. But after watching him lie so smoothly, I don't give this much weight. Really? Well, he likes you and your sister. I think he wishes that he had a daughter instead of a house full of boys. The idea that I might ever have been discussed around the dinner table at the bakery fire, just in passing in PETA's house, gives me a start. It must have been when the mother was out of the room. He knew your mother when they were kids, says PETA. Another surprise, but probably true. Oh, yes. She grew up in town, I say. It seems impolite to say she never mentioned the baker except to compliment his bread. We're at my door. I give him his jacket. See you in the morning, then. See you, he says, and walks off down the hall. When I open my door, the red-headed girl is collecting my unitard and boots from where I left them on the floor before my shower. I want to apologize for possibly getting her in trouble earlier, but I remember I'm not supposed to speak to her unless I'm giving her an order. Oh, sorry, I say. I was supposed to get those back to Senna. I'm sorry. Can you take them to him? She avoids my eyes, gives a small nod, and heads out the door. I'd set out to tell her that I was sorry about dinner, but I know that my apology runs much deeper, that I'm ashamed I never tried to help her in the woods, and that I let the Capitol kill the boy and mutilate her without lifting a finger, just like I was watching the games. I kicked off my shoes and climbed under the covers in my clothes. The shivering hasn't stopped. Perhaps the girl doesn't even remember me, but I know she does. You don't forget the face of a person who was your last hope. I pull the covers up over my head, as if this will protect me from the red-headed girl who can't speak, but I can feel her eyes staring at me, piercing through the walls and the doors and the bedding. I wonder if she'll enjoy watching me die. Okay, we're going to stop there for today. Please add a few facts to your Hunger Game facts, and we need to start finishing our vocabulary as well, so we can add that. Have a great rest of your day, Team Alabama.